Gertrude the goose loved her walks by the river. Every morning she would waddle along the water's edge looking for tasty bugs and seeds. One morning Gertrude saw something new. It was a basket hidden in the bushes. Curious, Gertrude stretched her long neck for a closer look. Inside the basket lay a tiny baby fast asleep. The baby had rosy cheeks and a tuft of soft brown hair. Gertrude had never seen anything like it. The baby stirred and whimpered, its little face scrunching up. Gertrude's heart melted. She had to help. Gertrude gently nudged the basket with her beak, trying to shift it out of the bushes. The baby let out a louder cry, and Gertrude knew she had to be extra careful. With a final push, she moved the basket onto the grassy bank of the river, away from the water's edge. Gertrude let out a series of loud honks. She hoped another goose might be nearby and could offer some advice. However, only the wind rustled the leaves in response. Gertrude paced around the basket, her head bobbing with worry. She couldn't leave the baby alone. Instinct took over. Gertrude carefully hopped onto the edge of the basket, careful not to step on the baby. She nestled down beside the baby, her soft feathers brushing against its skin. The baby, soothed by Gertrude's warmth, stopped crying and snuggled closer. Gertrude knew she couldn't stay there forever. She had to find help for the baby, but she didn't want to leave its side. Gertrude settled in for what she knew would be a long day, keeping a watchful eye on her tiny charge. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting warm rays on the riverbank. The baby woke up, cooing softly. Gertrude looked down at the little one, her heart filled with a tenderness she had never felt before. The baby giggled and reached out, grabbing onto Gertrude's feathery neck. Gertrude gently licked the baby's forehead with her tongue. The baby gurgled happily, enjoying the unexpected affection. Gertrude knew she couldn't feed the baby the way a human mother could, but she could keep it warm and safe. As afternoon approached, the wind picked up, bringing with it a chill. Gertrude spread her wings wide, creating a feathery blanket to shield the baby from the cool breeze. The baby, nestled under Gertrude's warm feathers, drifted off to sleep again. Section 4. Milkweed and More. The next morning, Gertrude awoke to the sound of the baby's cries. It was hungry and needed to be fed. The cries were loud and insistent, echoing through the quiet morning air. Gertrude knew she couldn't provide milk, but she hoped to find something suitable for the little one. She pondered for a moment, thinking of all the possible food sources she had seen around. She remembered seeing humans gather berries from bushes not far from the riverbank. The memory was vivid, and she recalled the humans' careful selection of the ripest berries. Carefully lifting the basket in her beak, Gertrude set off. She was determined to find something that would satisfy the baby's hunger. She kept the basket low to the ground, navigating carefully through the trees. The forest was dense and she had to be cautious not to trip or spill the basket. She found the berry bushes and after checking they were safe, dropped a few ripe berries into the basket. The berries were plump and juicy, just as she had remembered. The baby, however, didn't seem interested in the berries. It turned its head away, refusing to even taste them. Gertrude needed a new plan. She felt a pang of frustration but quickly composed herself, knowing she had to think of something else. She remembered seeing humans collecting milkweed pods, which she had always avoided. The pods had seemed strange and unfamiliar to her. Determined, Gertrude found the milkweed patch and carefully plucked a pod, bringing it back to the baby. She hoped this would be the solution. To Gertrude's surprise, the baby reached out for the pod, gumming it happily. The sight filled her with relief and joy, knowing she had finally found something the baby liked. Section 5. A familiar song. Days turned into nights, and still, Gertrude cared for the baby. She had found the baby abandoned and alone, and from that moment, she took it upon herself to be its guardian. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day. She kept it warm, protected it from the elements, and searched for food the baby could eat. Whether it was a sunny day or a stormy night, Gertrude was always there, ensuring the baby was safe and comfortable. She even began to understand the baby's different cries, the hungry cry, the tired cry, and the cry that simply meant, "Play with me." Each cry was a new lesson for Gertrude, and she learned quickly, responding with the care and attention the baby needed. One evening as the sun began to set, Gertrude was preening her feathers near the riverbank. The golden hues of the sunset reflected on the water, creating a serene and beautiful scene. The baby lay in its basket, watching Gertrude with wide, curious eyes. It seemed to be fascinated by everything Gertrude did, from the way she moved to the sounds she made. As Gertrude dipped her head into the water, she began to sing a soft lullaby, a song she had heard countless times from the nearby human homes. The melody was gentle and soothing, a perfect accompaniment to the tranquil evening. The familiar tune seemed to captivate the baby. Its eyes widened even more, and it stopped its playful babbling, completely entranced by the sound of Gertrude's voice. It stopped its playful babbling and stared at Gertrude, mesmerized. The baby had never heard anything so beautiful, and it was clear that the song had a calming effect on it. Gertrude continued to sing, her heart swelling with emotion. She felt a deep connection to the baby, and the song was her way of expressing the love and care she felt. This tiny human had, in such a short time, become like her own. The bond they shared was unbreakable, and Gertrude knew she would do anything to protect and care for the baby, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Section 6. Homeward Bound. The next morning, Gertrude awoke with a start. A familiar sound reached her ears, the sound of a human voice calling out. Gertrude looked down at the baby, sleeping soundly beside her. She knew deep down that this was it, the moment she had been both anticipating and dreading. Cautiously, Gertrude nudged the basket towards the sound of the voice. The baby stirred and whimpered, sensing Gertrude's unease. Gertrude gave the baby's hand a gentle nuzzle with her beak, trying to reassure both the baby and herself. As Gertrude pushed the basket into a clearing, she saw a kind-looking woman standing there. The woman gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "My baby!" she cried, rushing towards the basket. Gertrude stepped back, watching as the woman scooped the baby into her arms. Section 7. A Family Found. The woman showered the baby with kisses, tears of joy streaming down her face. She had been searching for what felt like an eternity, and now, holding her child close, she felt a wave of relief and happiness wash over her. The bond between mother and child was unbreakable, and this moment solidified it even more. She looked up at Gertrude, her eyes filled with gratitude. The goose had done something extraordinary, something that no one else could have done. In that moment, the woman realized that heroes come in all shapes and sizes, and sometimes, they have feathers. "Thank you," the woman whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "You saved my baby." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken feelings. She knew that no amount of gratitude could ever repay the debt she owed to Gertrude. Gertrude let out a soft honk, her heart heavy but also light. She had done something wonderful, but it also meant saying goodbye. The mixed emotions swirled within her, but she knew she had done the right thing. She knew the baby was where it belonged, safe and loved in its mother's arms. The sight of the two of them together brought a sense of peace to Gertrude. It was a reminder that love and care could overcome any obstacle. As the woman and her baby disappeared into the distance, Gertrude turned and slowly made her way back to the riverbank. She watched them until they were just tiny specks on the horizon, feeling a bittersweet sense of accomplishment. Life went back to its normal rhythm, but Gertrude was forever changed. The riverbank, once just a place of routine, now held memories of a remarkable journey. She often found herself reflecting on the events that had transpired, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. She continued her daily walks along the river, but now she carried with her the memory of the baby she had cared for, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have the biggest impact. Each step she took was a testament to the power of compassion and the difference one individual can make. And sometimes the most unexpected friendships can bloom in the most extraordinary circumstances. Gertrude had found a family in the most unlikely of places, and that bond would stay with her forever, a beautiful chapter in the story of her life.